How's it going, everyone? Today I want to show you something pretty special. It's a pen that I feel doesn't really get enough love in the fountain pen community, and it's something that ticks all my boxes and might just fit all of your needs. So today I want to show you the Pelikan 100N fountain pen. So this pen was produced for a pretty long time. It started out in the late 1930s and was produced until 1954. That's a pretty good history. This was made in Germany. I'm not going to get into any of the things about German companies producing things during that time period, but there are some really great articles by the Pelican's Perch that I'll link down below if you want to check that stuff out. But that's outside the scope of this video. I really want to talk about the way that this pen has held up over time and how it still stands on its own today against really any of the other pens that are being produced in the modern era. So one thing that's super distinct about this pen is this massive ink window right here in light green. You can see the green celluloid, which is really beautiful, but above it is just this huge ink window, so you'll never have any questions about what sort of ink level you have in your pen. It's a piston filler too, and Pelican was famous for pioneering the piston filler in their pens, popularizing it, and it really works great. The 100N has both cork seal piston fillers and plastic seal piston fillers, and it depends on the time period of when they were made, which one you're going to end up with. Of course, I would say the main attraction for this pen is the beautiful Pelican gold nib right there, 14 karat. It's just a beautiful vintage nib. It's got the perfect amount of bounce. It's a beautiful everyday writer that's not too stiff, not too flexy for a vintage nib. And it's an absolute joy to write with, as you'll see. It's also got an ebonite feed, which gives plenty enough ink supply for any job you want to do. And the overall size of the pen, I think, is perfect for everyday carry. It's a pretty small pen on its own. Let me get you a size comparison. Compared to a Pelikan M600, which is Pelikan's mid-range size fountain pen, you can see it's definitely smaller. Up at the very top of the cap, above the clip, it is inscribed Günter Wagner, Germany. And then at the other end of the pen is the piston knob. It has some indentations I suppose, for grip, but they're pretty small. And then a big old chunky piston knob to turn. It's incredibly satisfying to operate. But what do I mean when I say that this pen ticks all my boxes? I mean, for me, it's got everything. It's a piston filler with great ink capacity. It's not a huge pen. It's a perfect size. It's satisfying, it's well designed, it fits perfectly in the hand. It's got a wonderful gold vintage nib with a great ebonite feed, a big old ink window, and with all those things together, frankly, it's the perfect pen for me. Now, this pen is anywhere from 60 to 80 years old, and it writes like it hasn't aged a bit. It's still perfect for an everyday use pen, and it's a pen that's made to last. So let's get this thing inked up and show it writing. So I'm going to be inking up this Pelikan 100N with some Lamy Black. Nothing too crazy today. I just wanted to go for, a regular old everyday ink to fit a pen that I would really use for everyday purposes. Of course, the one downside is I'm a little afraid to use some modern inks in here that might be a little unwelcome in the vintage body of this pen. Like more alkaline inks, like inks that you'd find in Japan, or more sheening inks with a bunch of dyes in them. So I tend to stick with pretty standard inks for vintage pens like this, but I don't really find that annoying. It's just something, a little part of their character that you have to live with. So now this is all inked up and ready to write. You can see the cap posts on the back. It posts pretty well. Thankfully, it doesn't post on the piston knob, so unlike other pens, like the Twisby Eco, it won't maybe accidentally turn while you're writing. Now, here is the camera angle I've been looking for so long. I finally got a little camera holder so I can get some good angles for you. Here we have the Pelikan 100N fountain pen, and it's inked with Lamy Black. Now this feed is I mean, of course, I just inked it up, but yeah, it's it's pretty good. It's this one actually has one of the fins knocked off. I got it on a discount on eBay, which you know, I guess that's the reason why there's a discount, but it still works perfectly fine. And of course, you can see when you give the nib a little bit of pressure, it rewards you for that effort with some beautiful flex writing. So you can create some pretty magical stuff with it. But yeah, I'll just let you listen to this beautiful pen. As you can probably tell, this is one of my favorite pens. Certainly one of my picks for an everyday writer, and a pen that I think really deserves more love. So I hope you sort of understand where I'm coming from with this. Now, I guess the last question would be, where do you buy a pen like this? And that's really a problem with a lot of vintage pens, because there's not really one answer, and there's not really a good answer. I bought this pen on eBay, but of course eBay is a toss-up sometimes. You never know what you're going to get. And you can find some other vintage shops online that sell vintage pens and specialize in them. And they are usually pretty reputable, and I would recommend them for the most part. But I do think, especially with the day that I'm posting this, the DC International Pen Show just happened, and the San Francisco show is coming up in a few weeks, and I would say the best place to buy a pen like this is at a pen show, if you can make it to one. They're not only great fun, and you can meet a bunch of great people, but you can go in person and try out pens just like this from people that restore them and have them in their collections. And I think it's the perfect atmosphere to dip into a sort of vintage pen that you can use for an everyday carry like this. So I hope that provides some insight, and I hope that's a little helpful to you. But with that being said, I appreciate you spending your time with me going over this pen, and I hope I've justified why I love it so much. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.